before you speak to the mental trauma of it, speak to the moment in which the nation finds itself, watching again white people get away with killing Black people for 78 days.
Yeah, this one is incredibly sinister on a different level. So I think about Brother Bird in Texas,
yeah,
who was dragged by a pickup truck, and this reminds me of that. Like this was not a stand your ground scenario. This was not a white guys are being attacked by somebody, or there's an altercation where you can skew the humanity of this brother to feel a greater level of harm than you actually feel. This was a hunt. This was a hunt.
That's a good word.
It was a hunt, and everything about it proves that. But this was more diabolical because this was former law enforcement that was connected to the highest levels of government, and the highest level of government made conscious decisions to cover up this incident,
right?
To not bring charges, to not do an investigation, to not make an arrest, to ensure that they would be able to get away with it. And I'm just not, I don't even know if we're clear about how high up this might actually go, and who is or is not going to be held accountable. What I am thankful for is some human people that decided to be honest, in the owner of the home that Arbery was in, and saying that there was nothing criminal about his activity, because unfortunately sometimes white people don't believe anything until they hear other white people say that is true. So I'm thankful for that, but this is unfortunately just the reality of where we live. And while this is not something that we've seen this happen over and over and over again, but we clearly understand that there is a new day where there's a brazen entitlement of white supremacists to be able to do things in ways that several years ago they made a thought twice about. And I think that for me is the moment for contemplation for us as Black folks. In fact, I remember.
Just say a little more about that. What do you mean?
Yeah. So I remember having a conversation with our mutual friend Jamal Bryant several years ago about the fact that this is the first generation of Black folks that has not had a uniform presence of Black men in the community that represented self-defense. And so from the old school deacons, and if you don't know anything about the Black church, you don't know that the deacons were a front line of defense, not just dudes who sat on the front row and got good parking spaces. You had the Black Panther Party for self-defense. You had the original Nation of Islam. Hell, you had the Guardian Angels in certain places. You had the revived Nation of Islam. And this is really the first generation plus that has not known some form of unified, organized presence of Black men that say, not on my watch. And so we have been, gangster about defending blocks we don't own nothing on, but not equally as gangster about defending our community against those that would come in to attack us. And I just think that we're there. I just don't know how this changes when we know that we can't always about defending blocks we don't own nothing on, but not equally as gangster about defending our community against those that would come in to attack us. And I just think that we're there. I just don't know how this changes when we know that we can't always one in communities that we live in, that there are repercussions for that, and that there is a presence that scares the shit out of people to say, wait a minute, I got to think twice about whether or not I want to carry out these images of supremacy that I think I can get away with. And no, I am not calling on people to be violent. I am calling on people to defend themselves. I'm not calling us to create lynch mobs. I am, however, saying that we should be law-abiding gun owners. I am not calling us to lift up some of these tenets about the desire to have any kind of race war. I am, however, saying that we should be so ridiculously in love with ourselves that we believe that self-defense is a non-option, and that there are varying mechanisms for us to be able to do that in a way that is not about creating bodies of aggressiveness towards anybody else, but about creating bodies of aggressive defense for our children, our elderly, our fathers and daughters and husbands and wives and community members.
So what would you say to someone who would push back and say to you that the solution to what everybody agrees is a problem is not more guns, because that comes with its own repercussions, unforeseeable consequences that may well play themselves out among Black folks in ways that we cannot imagine?
And be clear, I said both and so listen, we know that the vast majority of gun violence in our community is not being carried out by legal gun owners. And so let's be clear, there is a poverty issue in our community and an opportunity issue in our community, because most of the young brothers I know that are shooters within an ecosystem of poverty. And that and I'm not justifying it, Sean, please don't hear me saying that. I am, however, saying that I understand it. I remember being, I was a college student in '92 during the gang truce. And there was a brother by the name of Ahmaud Arbery in Cleveland, who was one of the cats on the ground that was probably the most aggressive, helping to keep peace between various sects of the gangs in Cleveland.
A Muslim brother, right? He would
allow me to come with him and be a part of these meetings.
He was a Muslim brother, right?
Yeah.
I know him.
Yeah, man, he passed several years ago from cancer, but there just has not been another brother like him in the city of Cleveland in particular. And I was sitting in a room with a group of brothers, and I will never forget. I can see the table, I can feel the chair, I can hear this brother's energy say to me, "Listen, Jeff," he said, if you help me get a skill that I can use to take care of my family, I'll come off the corner tomorrow. Now, whether he was telling me the truth or not, there is a reality to there being vast amounts of talent in our community.
The sentiment was honest. That's what was honest.
Yes, there's vast amounts of talent in our community that are not on a college trajectory, but they've got skills.
Yeah.
They have work ethic. They have desire to work. I mean, even right now in Baltimore, we got squeegee boys that folks complain about, saying that they are a menace to society because they want to clean windows. These kids could very easily choose to be on a different corner with a different product, but they don't.